Good evening, everybody. Dang, I thought I had one more minute. Oh well. Hope everybody's having a nice night tonight. Daryl Brooks Jr. Insanity Defense. Gonna check that out real quick. Give me one sec. Yes, I forgot about this one, but yes, we'll cover that as well. But yes, hello everybody. Welcome tonight. We'll give a couple more minutes to let everybody pull in. Hope everybody's had a good day. Where's the intro music? We're a little poor for intro music, so don't have that yet. Yeah, I hope everybody's having a good night tonight. Yes, Graham, we will cover the Daryl Brooks thing real quick. So, yeah, hey, I got COVID for the second time in like 2.5 years, so I hope you're feeling better. Yeah, it's not fun. Uh, it just was really rough and it took a while, but got through it. Yeah, Zero Signal HM, Charles Watt, Pyramid. Welcome tonight, guys. Gabby, Matthew Critter, Parallax. Hello. Hope everybody's having a good time tonight. So, got a lot of things we could talk about. Got a couple more minutes. Wow, we're at the 29. Good start. Good start. Remember last week, though, we ran the table. So, you know, um, I guess talk all the shit you want, but I'm on a roll so far. Hi, Jules. How you doing? One hour, 7 minutes. I'm telling you guys. Did Thomas exercise too much caution in today's decision? No. I mean, when you really think about Supreme Court cases, and I'll use the civil rights cases as a great example. Um, they made a decision like started like Brown versus Board of Education, overruled Plessy versus Ferguson. It then had to keep moving. They had to keep coming back to the court for things because then the states got obstructing and they came up with a different way to fuck with the rules and fuck with the rulings and oppose the rulings. So there was a lot of coming back to the court to get things straightened out. It's hard for the court to make a massive jump to a certain point. They generally start by saying, here is the broad rule, and then it has to get refined from there. So I don't think he was too cautious. I think it was actually fairly well done. I mean, it looks like we're looking at strict scrutiny. And even then, you're not even strict scrutiny, but like historical justification for things, which is even tougher because that pretty much destroys, I'd argue, assault weapons bans and any sort of thing going forward. Um, so, yeah, I don't think it was too bad. If we have time, we'll talk about it. But yeah, it's very interesting what they put together. Um, well, when you haven't had a successful one, yes, it is. One is a roll. Um, yes, but you have to then crush whatever it is you're dealing with. And in this case, they had to get rid of the requirement from the state of, from New York City, where you had to provide on the back, and that last page, you had to write out an essay, dear people, why I should be allowed to carry a gun. I mean, that's where you start. And then from there, it then turns into, well, does it become shall issue? And then you go from there. How far can you do this? Can you allow other states? What I would tell you is, don't carry a gun into New York unless you already have a license from New York. This doesn't change anything. If you live in New York and you don't have a license, don't carry a gun. This doesn't change a whole lot. So just making that clear, this doesn't mean you can fly from Texas down to, JFK or LaGuardia Airport, hop a cab to Times Square, and start walking around with a pistol. That's not legal. That's not what this case did. So, just every flood, think about it this way, every flood is a bunch of single raindrops that work together. So it takes a while. All right, so yeah, we're well past it. I don't disagree with you, but if you merely just say LOL, shall not be infringed, Lamau, New York, the state of New York's going to laugh at you and do what it does. So you've got to start somewhere. I don't think it's a bad ruling. Could it have been a little better? Sure, but I'm not unhappy with it. The fact that other people are screaming and losing their minds over it should tell you it's actually pretty well written. No, I didn't see the DOJ's response, but I'm not surprised that the government's not happy that, the people have gained rights. The government's response never usually is, yay, we're so thrilled. Yeah, they are. But once again, just like with civil rights cases, separate but equal no longer works. What happened in 1954 when Brown happened? Did the southern states just say, oh, screw it, we give up? No. They had to send in the army to let kids go to school. And then decades of court cases and legal fighting and legal warfare. So it's not a surprise. Well, yes, in New York, you need a pistol permit to buy a pellet gun. That's no joke. That's actually true. So, yeah, a lot of states have problems, but, chiseling away at it. No, but that wouldn't surprise me even then because, yeah, it's hard. Especially in New York City, you need a rabbi. You need somebody to pull. They've had a big issue in New York City itself of the past couple of years now. They've been seeing and revealing tons of people have been bribing their way through to get a permit. So, yeah. So, all right, guys. Well, that's enough talking about that. We'll get to the rest of everything else first. Like I said, we'll circle back after we get a chance. I don't just no comment. I will I'll leave that one alone. Not necessarily too wrong. So anyways, Mickey Lynn, hey, how you doing? Richard Grubber, catching the tomorrow at work. Hey, helps you get through the day. Never thought I'd have people telling me that, but I appreciate it. That actually is a compliment that, I truly, yeah, pretty cool. So, yeah, if you're not around, and also like your drum mag, buddy. Nice drum mag. So the first one is Ross Harris. Now, if you guys don't remember Ross Harris, he is... Oh, I need to pull his picture up because I remember this guy. The funniest thing about him was his hair. He had like I don't even know how to explain it to you guys, but I'll let you figure it out. Anyways, this is Ross Harris. Right here, the guy in the orange jumpsuit. Back in 2014, he was accused of leaving his kid in a hot car with the intent of killing him. He went to trial on this. He went to trial on a couple of other things, including sending lewd text and other things to a minor. Well, he got convicted of everything and was sent to prison. He appealed this case, and he appealed his convictions, and his convictions for the death of his son were overturned. Now, you may ask why, and it actually pretty good reasoning from the courts, and I don't think it's a bad reasoning on their part. You know, he still remains in prison for sending dirty pics to a minor. He got 12 years in prison for that, so he's not going anywhere. But his murder case is overturned. Now, will the prosecutor likely try him again? Sure, they probably will. But why did it get overturned is the issue. And it's interesting, and it's something to think about. Basically, they said that they improperly tried the case. And it's because they tried the improper messaging to a minor and murder at the same time. Now, generally speaking, you can try multiple crimes at once if they have a link, if there's a relationship to them. So, for example, if I rob a bank and I've got a gun, and then I get into a big high-speed chase, and then I get into a hostage standoff, that's all part of like one thing if I'm, LARPing Grand Theft Auto World. You could see that being all one big thing they try together. But in this situation, him being a perv to some little kid, well, there was no relationship to what happened to his son. There was no relationship at all, and I don't know how the court let this get tried together because there really was no link. And if his defense allowed it, that was a bad move on their part. I doubt they did. So that's the issue. Sending explicit messages to underage girls, how does that relate to murder? It doesn't. They used all this evidence to say, look, Ross Harris is a big piece of shit. He's a horrible guy, and he's a philanderer, and he's trying to, go shtup other women, and he wanted to have his kid die. That way he could get a divorce, and then he could just do whatever he wanted and be a creepy perv. Okay, fine. But you're introducing other crimes to show that, and that is where the big problem happened. The court said that, his responsibility for the death is undisputed. But much of the evidence presented in court for the murder case is only relevant to the sex crime case. So once again, they used this fact that he was engaged in a sex crime with a different party just to make him look like a crappy person in front of the jury. And also here's his son, Cooper Harris. He was left in the car. So that's the issue there. So he's probably going to get retried again. They might make him a plea offer. I don't know. It's up to the prosecutor to decide what they want to do. But as of right now, his convictions have been vacated, so he gets, it's back to square one. Yeah. Yeah, Ross hair is, it's an absolute helmet of hair. Did they overcharge this crime? No, they didn't overcharge it. It's just they didn't apply it properly. If the two crimes don't have any relationship and you can't draw a line between them, then you have to try them separately. I guess an example would be, let's say you're a drug dealer or a drug trafficker, and you get caught a bunch of times with drugs in your car. Well, are they separate every time? Yeah. Are they related to each other? Not really. Okay, well, then you can't really try them all together because then it becomes propensity evidence. The jury's going to see, well, you did it a bunch of times, so therefore you must be a bad guy. So that's what I would just say. It's not overcharged. They improperly tried the case. And hold on one second. To the wall. Yes. Yes, that wouldn't be bad for him. The wall is a disappointing amount of space available these days. Should have been 2 trials, yeah. I didn't get to read the full opinion, Patricia, but I think the amount of prejudice done here, and it was clear the majority of the evidence, there was enough evidence to sustain the conviction for this versus the murder. I'm not sure, but I probably need to do a little more reading. I was running around. I was in court all day today. I was in like 4 different courthouses, so I've not had a chance to read it. Linda, stupid prosecutor, I'd be careful. I don't think it was meant to be dumb. They ask for it, and if the court allows it, then they go forward with it. Yeah, they were supposed to. Hold on 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. What state this happened? This happened in Georgia. Hey, Mickey, I guess I'd say it like this. People messing up. I don't know what type of job you do, but any type of job you have out there in the world, whether it's the guy at McDonald's flipping your burger or a doctor performing surgery on people. No job's ever done 100% correctly. And I'll be the first to admit it, I screw up too. It happens. It's just when it happens at this level, generally there's massive, results and side effects. So, things happen. But he'll get retried, and he'll probably get convicted again. So, but otherwise, hey, that's a system that's willing to overturn it for somebody as guilty as him should make you happy, because that means they are willing to protect the rights of everybody, including yourself. God forbid you face a tribunal like that. So there's some good news there that the system works and it's holding things accountable. Well, they argued not necessarily just that he's a P word, but that they introduced a lot of character evidence that he's a philanderer, a cheater, stuff that just makes him look bad. So he'll get back out and probably get retried. If he does get retried and it's available, heck yeah, we can watch it. It'll be interesting when they have to try it with different kinds of evidence, and they have to change how they do it. So, yeah, nobody's perfect, and yeah, if the guy at McDonald's, if you order a cheeseburger and you order no cheese on it and they give you cheese, like, okay, you have cheese on your cheeseburger. You have a cheeseburger instead of a hamburger. Prosecutor messes up, kind of changes how criminal cases go. The guy flying your airplane messes up, you slam into a farm field somewhere. Things happen. Oopsie poopsie is on a scale, and it's adjustable. Yeah, we'll keep our eyes peeled, and also, if anybody out there, if you guys find out something happens in the near future, mention it in a comment or hit my email up about it. Or I know a lot of you guys are kind of in communication with each other in different Discords. Make sure the word gets out, because yeah, I think this would be an interesting one to recover. So let's see here. But yeah, I'd be very interested to see what happens with him. Hey, clumsy clairvoyance, how you doing? Another one. This one is This one is interesting because it leads to 2 separate things here. Hold on here. Yes, the oopsie poopsie scale. Yes, the oopsie poopsie scale. Maybe I'll patent that. Maybe I'll put it on a shirt. Yeah, we're going to get to this now. So, the Attorney General of South Dakota, this guy here, Jason Ravensborg, or Ravensborg, I don't really know. Yeah, it's really interesting what happened to him. So he was, anyways, and here's what happened a while back. This happened back in August of last year. He pled no contest to misdemeanor charges over killing somebody after he ran him over. Yeah. Now, this has nothing to do with it being a red state, blue state. As you'll see, we've got a blue state version of this next. Yes, if you are in power, a lot of things can happen that go your way, including running somebody over and killing them and playing out to some bullshit misdemeanor charges. In this case, he ran over a guy and killed him, Joseph Bover, and he pled guilty to 2 separate misdemeanor charges. Over it's just absolute insanity. It wasn't like it was an accident or his car, the tire blew out and he ran the guy over. But yes, he did. He did hit the guy and did kill him. But it's interesting because when you learn about his impeachment, you learn about how bad for this guy things were. And also, what I would tell you is, once you start telling lies to the police, they're generally going to pick through them and they'll find out what you've done. So that's why you don't talk to them. This is why you get a lawyer. This week, and actually yesterday, he was removed. He was impeached by the government for what he had done and, for his dishonesty. This is the car. This is the car after he hit the guy walking down the road. So there were problems, though, with this case. Throughout his interviews with the police, he claimed he didn't know that he hit anybody. He thought he told everybody, "Oh, I thought I hit a deer." It's kind of hard to do that when they find the dead guy's glasses in your car. So once again, shut up. Do not talk to the police. Get an attorney. I'm not saying that excuses what he did, but you are not that smart. Okay? And this guy, he's not that smart. And he's an attorney. In fact, he's the top law enforcement officer in the state of South Dakota at the time. And he still talked to the cops like an idiot. So, once again, guys, do not talk to the cops. I'd also hope you don't, text on your cell phone and run someone over, but that's a separate issue. So he had all 4 tires on the shoulder of the road when he struck this guy. He said he never saw the guy laying on the side of the road, but the guy who was carrying a flashlight, it was still on and they found it on. And it was visible. Once again, do not talk to the cops. You only make things worse. This is Jenny Bover, Joe Bover's widow, and she's been pushing for it. And I hope she does have some justice and some sense of return now. But it's sad because her husband won't come back from this. He Ravensborg denied being distracted by a smartphone when he talked to the police. But they pulled up his data and they saw he was looking at the phone up until a minute before the crash. And they could do that. They can see what your phone was doing and your phone was, what you're doing on the phone. Even if it's not connected and stuff, your phone keeps track of that. Once again, don't talk to the cops because then they can go disprove this. And then days after the crash, he had a meeting with the digital forensics experts. Yes, once again, do not talk to the police. Don't bring up hypotheticals. Do not talk to the cops. This is a great example of it because how do you not talk to the cops? This might just sound like an accident. But now that he's talked to the cops, Well, now we're finding out all kinds of stuff. The guy he talked to, the expert, said he was uncomfortable with it, and they weren't supposed to be involved. They were conflicted out of it. Now, that was mainly for his impeachment, but still, do not talk to the police. Don't go talking to people. If something happens to you, have a representative do it. So, anyways, going on, he did get impeached and he did removed. He's the first official statewide to be impeached and removed. He can't ever hold office again in the state. So yeah, it looks like he got cratered pretty bad. He got voted badly because they think he was responsible for the guy's death, which is nice because he was actually held accountable for it. And the senators voted, the rest of the Senate nuked him for malfeasance in office. Yeah. So, once again, it's hard to prove malfeasance if you don't open your mouth. So, oh, wow, you guys, late gay, muted breaded, yeah. Well, late, it depends on your definition of gay, maybe. Not muted and not breaded. Lots of accusations, but the evidence speculative. I mean, finding the dead guy's glasses in your car is pretty damning. His foot slipped on the pedal, yeah. Prison reform would come about if government-protected folks would write to go to prison and write to their friends about how awful it is. Maybe, but there's also an idea that you don't want prison to be too good. I mean, part of it is a punishment. Now, should it be a gladiator academy? No. But there's too much money involved. Ransom went over and the guy died and only got charged misdemeanors. Yeah, he said he was using a phone, but yeah, I'm pretty sure he was drunk too, but they weren't able to prove it because, at the time there was no proof that he was drunk at the time. But yes, more than likely he was intoxicated. Okay, no, do not tell the police. I might have done it, but it doesn't. No, please. Please, for the love of God, do not do that. Don't do that. Maybe it was a blind deer. Glasses look like antlers to me. He had to aim for him. Not necessarily, Linda. I mean, it's just whenever if you ever go on YouTube and you watch videos of like drunk people or people on their phones when they hit a police car stopped on the side of the road, it's just the fates and the stars line up just that right way that it happens. You could do that a million other times and nothing would happen. That needed a slap to turn on. It turned on when it hit the ground. We're going to get the Paul Pelosi, guys. Just hang tight. You only say 4 words to the cops. Yes, I want a lawyer. Yes, that is a good one. Chill out, Officer Emma Kennedy. Can we talk about Andrew Gillum? I'll touch on him briefly just because of the types of charges he had, because it is very interesting. And I agree. It should not be like living in a hovel. It shouldn't be that bad. Gene Williams, lady driving with a tree embedded in her hood. Not to be a smartass, but that happens a lot more than you think. I mean, I've had multiple clients with a mailbox stuck through their windshield, so it's not like I can narrow it down from there. Most people get out of prison. Guess how they'll act for release. Not good. More efforts at rehab should be done. No, don't disagree. Don't disagree. I think in a case like this, though, where you take someone's life like that, I think you need to pay the piper a little bit. Um, let's see here. Um, yeah, I don't. That's part of it. There's an issue they think sometimes with the flashing lights. Yeah, it's just it happens a lot. But I mean, people are drunk, swerving all over the road, and for the million times it happens, there's nobody in the way fortuitously enough, and then sadly, every once in a while somebody is in the way. Why do people in Ohio hate mailboxes? Don't know. Oh, okay, Nicole. I don't disagree with you there. I don't disagree with you there. That makes sense. Um, 7-Eleven's an inside job. No recidivism, the criminals are all dead. Yeah, that's one way to eliminate crime. Not sure it's the best way, but it is one way. Um, oh, okay, Linda. Sometimes it's just commenting on it when I see it. Now, with that being said, yeah, it's that Sarah Boone clumsy that is going to trial in July. As far as things are concerned, I'll probably double check that tonight. Yeah, she's still set to go to trial. Nothing else has happened with that. She got new counsel. Looks like she has a public defender now. So we'll find out what happens. It's going to be very interesting. Um, as far as things go, I'm still leaning towards not guilty. But if they can prove the evidence, I'll change my mind. But we will cover that. I'm pretty sure I've got my schedule blocked out for that, and I'll have to double check. And there might be a thing or two I have to take care of, but it shouldn't be too bad. But on the um, we just covered this in a red state. Now there's a blue state version of this, and like I said, this isn't an issue of one party or another, one political issue or another. It's people in power. And this guy, this is Paul Pelosi, the husband of Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House, was charged for a DUI. Now, it's interesting because he did this like 10 days ago and caused an accident. Um, if it's me or you, I don't think they're going to take this long to charge us. But at the end of the day, he still got charged. So I will give the DA for Napa County credit for holding him accountable and going forward with it. I do think it's very interesting the way they try to, sugarcoat this and church it up a little bit here. That his blood sample was just over the legal limit. And what is just over the legal limit? Well, they say it was a .082, which doesn't matter. There's a presumption you are intoxicated at that point and you cannot reliably drive a vehicle. One. Number two, if you blew a .82, what do you think is going to happen? They're not going to say, oh, it was just over. They're going to say he was over the limit. I think this is a very dishonest reporting here because I don't think they give other people that same treatment. I just don't think that's fair the way they do that. And I think we'll have to go back up. Because there was an accident and people involved with injury, he could face a bunch of things, including probation. He ain't going to get that. A minimum of 5 days in jail. It sounds like he'll probably be able to do that on house arrest. Whatever's going to happen there, I'm sure things are not. He's going to be told to report to the jail like all the other schmoes. installation of an interlock device. You know how you have to blow on it to start it. He ain't gonna get one of those. You know what he does? He's probably got a chauffeur from then on. Not an issue. Fines and fees. Oh no, I'm sure they're, from what I understand, he does like defense contracting. He's worth a couple $100 million, so that's not gonna hurt him. And ordered a drunk driver classes, which, oh yeah, I'm sure once again that's gonna be such a hardship for him. Now, I just point this out because, yes, you wouldn't be getting frog marched around, but you certainly will not get the end result he gets. And that's solely because of money and power. More interesting with Paul Pelosi, he was involved in a single-car crash a couple decades ago in the 60s where his brother died. Now, I'm not going to say one way or another what I think happened, but generally speaking, when you have a high-speed crash of a single car at night and nothing else happens, even nowadays, let's be real. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. What do we think happened? I'm sure you guys would all agree. Somebody was kicking back at too much apple juice and had a rough night. But he was never charged for that, so nothing ever happened. But this is probably not his first time being in a serious accident. Australia isn't real to the moon. No, he doesn't look like a drunk. No release of the body cam. Yeah, and that's interesting. The body cam will probably get released at trial. But yes, normally in these types of situations, we find the body cam right away. But yes, we don't get it now. Oh yeah, A-dubs, yes, you covered that as well. Yeah, but 10 days in jail is actually, that's kind of stiff for a DUI. If it's his first time DUI, woof. Something must have happened because that's, even in Ohio, that's stiff. I said stiff. Yes, he's married to Nancy. The guy's already in prison. Oof. Yeah. Although, if you look at the pictures of her way back in the day, back in the 60s, she was a looker. She was a good-looking woman. Mickey Lynn, Super Chat, 1999. Thank you very much. I truly appreciate that. Thank you so, so much. I appreciate your insight and knowledge covering these different cases and keeping us up to date. Let's get you to 100K. You are worth it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Got a ways to go, but yeah, we'll get there at some point. So let's see here. They sugarcoated it good. I think it was higher than that. No, I bet his I bet it was what it is. The issue is he's an old guy. So being at a .82 when you're that old, I mean, how old is Paul Pelosi? Hold on here. Let me see. Paul Pelosi age. He's 82. Yeah, that's a lot. That's being 82 and being at .08. That's not pleasant. I mean, you're 82, you've already got issues with response times and perception and all those other issues. Top of that, having a couple of whiskeys you knock back. Yeah, that's probably correct. Yes, it's his first time drunk driving, I promise. Yeah, just like many people, it's not the first time when you get caught. Oh, he probably will lose driving privileges, Susie, but unlike in Canada, in America, your first time OVIs, even your first couple, are not felony level activity. I know in Canada, your first time OVI is treated super, super seriously. You have to get a couple before you get to felony level considerations. He even got nice lighting for his mugshot. Oh, there's a super sticker. Clumsy Clairvoyance for 99 cents. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your support. Um, is Nancy Pelosi still alive? What is she, like 99 by now? She's actually, how old is she? She is, what does Wikipedia say? She is also 82. So not quite that old, but she's getting there. She's getting there. Let's see. I'm old, but 82 is old. Yeah. The 60s were 50 years ago. Yeah, that's a good point. It's hard to think about it that way. Um, so unfair that people can be out. It's unfair that there's like 90-year-old ladies out there still smoking Pall Malls, and nothing happens to them, just sitting there like a chimney. It just happens that way. I think you just need to look at how your family fares, and you'll have a good idea what you can do. Turd will hit on this guy. He looks very fragile. Hey, most people who are 82 are pretty fragile. Yeah, being 82 should be, yeah. Grant, you're free to have that argument, but certainly I would highly disagree with that one. But if you feel that's the case, certainly you can try to petition the legislator where you live to make that a reality. Was he in Ohio? No, this guy was in California. I wish I could support you wherever it helps, right? Hey, please don't feel obligated to send in anything. I appreciate it if that's, what you're able to send in. Certainly don't feel bad about that. I appreciate, whether it's a penny or $100. Or it's just a thumbs up, hey, you're doing awesome. I appreciate all of it, any support you offer. So please don't feel obligated. But I truly appreciate it. He was trying to get away from Nancy. Jeez. At 82, they have to do a yearly driver's license in Canada. Yeah. A-dubs. If you're making that joke, go look at her back in the day. There's a couple pictures of her hanging out with JFK. Ooh, child. Like I said, she was a looker back then. Yes, Chris, you're correct. Yeah, and that's the thing too, Muriel. So you're asking, yeah, people can smoke all day, nothing happens, and other people just, they catch cancer like that. Yeah, and I can understand why that makes you feel that way. Certainly. Nancy chews unfiltered cigs. Yeah, she probably is that type of person. It was cool you were on Joe's stream when I super chatted. Next time something happens to me, I'll cry to you. Thank you. Yeah, I was on a Good Logic stream on Sunday night, so that was a little fun. Apparently, I got a little animated. If you guys haven't noticed, I guess Law Nerd clipped that out. But yeah, I get a little fired up about some things, about something about lawyer dogs. I am a Nancy Pelosi simp. Okay, Nancy D'Alessandro, when she was a single woman running around, sure, not Nancy Pelosi. Pull up a pic of her. I want to see hot Nancy. Oh God! All right, fine. I guess we'll do this. Where I can't. Dang it! I can't get it. It won't load up. It's all blurry and crappy right now. So, yeah. Sorry, but it's out there. It's out there. Yeah, that lawyer dog thing, yes, that was a very, when I read it, I thought it was a joke, but apparently, no, that was 100% real. Those judges did it. No sipping in the chat. Yeah, she's hot. I can't bring it up, guys. I can't find it. Mickey Land for $9.99. Thank you again so very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. What, if anything, I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I like it. Would you do to defend the man that hit pedestrian? Love your rant on Joe's channel. I mean, really, I would make the argument this was just an accident. He was on, maybe he's on his phone, or he was tired, or something happened where he started to lose control and couldn't steer back right away and overcorrect. I mean, he ran a guy over, killed him, and got 2 misdemeanors that are, piddly shit. That's pretty good. I mean, that's a win. That's the true win. Yeah, sure, if I could get those dismissed, great. And if there were ways I could suppress evidence, sure. But in a case like this, with the attention it would bring, you've got a state-level political official, you're not going to be able to hide it, especially in this day and age. So it's not going to go away. But I would argue a lot of times the true victories are taking pretty serious offenses and getting a very mild, charge you end up pleading to. Like if I could turn a robbery into a disorderly conduct. Yeah, sure, I couldn't get rid of it, but I turned it into something a hell of a lot better. Or I turned a robbery into simple misdemeanor theft. That's a score. That is a steal. No pun intended. That's where I think you make those, that's where you make the success. So, I mean, that's where I would have done it. I mean, I would have made sure he shut up, though, because at that point, they can't prove anything. Then, oops, accidentally hit a guy, and, accidents do happen. And if it truly is an accident, then he can't be charged. So, yeah, they can do a search for her, yes. No, Hillary was not that good looking back in the day. Even when she had, the long hippie hair. Oof. Nancy Pelosi's first name or last name was Nancy D'Alessandro. D'Alessandro. She's Italian and she was from Baltimore. Yes, if you want to make allegations that her family was involved in organized political issues and maybe organized criminal enterprises in Baltimore, which, it's known for that if you watch The Wire. Yeah, I'm not going to deny that. DuckDuckGo. Kaleberg, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's a different side of me. Yeah, I try to do things a little differently here, but but yeah, thank you very much. And actually, I will tell you guys, tonight I'm going to be on with Nick and a couple other people, probably on civil law, and I'm not sure who else, to talk about the New York State pistol and rifle case versus Bruin. Probably talk about it a lot more in depth. So, just so you know, that'll be tonight. I'm not sure when he'll have me on right away, but, midnight's his usual start time. What, if anything, was intentional? Well, thank you. Noam was pretty nonchalant about the accident and Ravensbrück's involvement. She was actually one of the major forces pushing for him to get impeached, so I don't think she was, yeah, I think she's been leading the charge to get this guy out. I think especially once all the evidence came to light. The way I've understood and the way I've followed along. Nice boobs. So if you can get an assault with weapon into plain battery, it's a win. Yeah, there might be times where that's true. So yeah, like a felonious assault where, somebody suffered severe injuries and I could turn it in just to a simple, you shoved a guy or you punched somebody. And, the facts clearly show you were going to get convicted of assaulting someone. Yeah, that's, you're looking at anywhere from 2 to 8 years in prison plus possible parole. And there's a heavy presumption you're going to prison for felonious assault. Yeah, I mean, you're telling me you wouldn't like to face up to possibly 180 days in jail instead? I mean, that's so much better. Um, yeah, sure. Actually, I thought on civils in Texas, but maybe I'm wrong. Oh, Peggy Reardon. I was on the side of the road. A trooper stopped to see if I was okay. Yeah, that happens all the time. They're sitting on the side of the road, and another car just wham right into them. Uh, Nate, the lawyer, picked them up at LAX. Oh, they're doing like VidCon or something, probably. I think that's something where you get to be a fancy YouTuber. Yeah, that's. You couldn't fucking pay me to go to something douchey like VidCon. No way in hell. So yeah, would never do that. How dare you not be up on the Ricada side character lore? I gotta worry about my own lore for right now. I know someone who went to prison here in Ohio for a couple of years. How can I look up his case? You need to know what county he got convicted. If he's still in prison, you can go to the Ohio Department of Rehabilitations and Corrections. That's the prison management site. If he's still on either parole or in prison, you can search for him and you can find out what county he was sentenced out of. And then you would simply go to whatever county's clerk of court that is. So insert whatever one of the 88 counties it is here, Adams County through Wyandotte. Go to Franklin County Clerk of Court's website, type it in, look for record search, and then you can type his name in and you should be able to find it. Now, if it's too old, you might not find a whole lot about it, and you may have to write them in or, ask them you might have to pay a little, a couple dollars to get some records faxed to you. When was Alita's wedding? I think it's this weekend. Yeah, I made Eve Barlow's hit list. I also made a hit list for some Spurg on Reddit, so that's interesting. Because I made a video at Amber, is nothing going to happen to her, and then apparently because I said R. Kelly's innocent until proven guilty, I'm an R. Kelly supporter now. I don't know. So let's see here. Imperial Soldier and go to Comic-Con. I'd rather do something like Warhammer related. I think I'd be a guardsman. I think that'd be fun, but who knows? I don't know what the stuff about Kurt's girl is. I didn't know he had a girlfriend, so. Oh yeah, they also could be there for Alita's wedding too. That's coming up. Yeah, I'm sorry, Critter. You're 100% correct. If you look at the inmate locator, I never think about it that way. I just go on ODRC and look it up. But if he's not under their supervision anymore, you're gonna have to find out what county he got sentenced out of, where his case was, and start from there. I'll have to look into that, Chris. So let's see here. Oh, we're doing pretty good. Only an hour in, we not crashed and burned all the way. So we're gonna talk about Daryl Brooks now. Actually, why is this not working? So come on, where is this at? Okay, so if you guys are not familiar with Daryl Brooks or don't remember him, he's the guy who last year in Waukesha, Wisconsin, went through the parade and ran over a bunch of people in his car, flew right through it. He had a bunch of issues the court has recently ruled upon. The change of venue has been denied. The judge believes that he can get a fair trial in that county, which I don't know about that, but okay. I mean, given what he did, oof. He did change his plea to not guilty by reason of mental defect, which means he's claiming the insanity defense. And this is where what's going to happen is he will have a mental health evaluation scheduled. During this mental evaluation, they're going to sit there and they'll give him a full battery of things to assist him, to test him, to find out, does he suffer from a mental defect? And did he suffer from one at the time? But also now, does he suffer from one? Because there's an issue now of competency, because he has to be able to assist in his own defense. So they're going to check a lot of things at once. But yes, they're going to make sure he's not, if he is insane or if he's not. Then depending on the results that come back, the state may ask for a second opinion or the defense may ask for a second opinion, depending on what comes back and how things go. Let's see here. The change of venue is a reasonable request. Oh, I definitely think so. I definitely think so. Oh, okay. So, and it's in Waukesha County. I just didn't know the name of the county. But yes, so the defense made that argument, but the prosecution, they did something interesting. They sent out surveys to potential jurors, and apparently they found they claim hundreds of people who are still qualified. Even after they eliminated people who were affected by the tragedy or donated causes. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever listened to Robert Barnes, but he's brought up when you're trying to do change of venue, you need to do polling, you need to show the court, statistical breakdowns of what's going on. Well, in this case, the prosecution went out and they did that statistical work. They went out and spent the money. We're going to send out some surveys and we'll get them back. We're going to analyze them and spend the money to show, look, no, we can keep the case here. So, the thing that Robert Barnes talked about, well, the state seized upon it, not the defense this time. In her ruling, she cited several cases that determined notoriety and local coverage do not mean a trial is unfair. And that the voir dire process should ensure that I'll have an impartial jury. Oh, God, I still don't know about that. I don't know if he's going to get a fair shake. I mean, I know you guys have watched the video. That whole video is pretty fucked up. What happened? I just, the coverage has been factual and objective. I mean, yes, it's been objective and it's been factual. He plowed into a parade full of people and ran them over. Yes, that's still pretty gruesome and pretty rough to show to a jury pool and a populace to have seen it and to have suffered through that tragedy. So I don't... Oh, I got a message. Here, hold on. Sorry, guys. So, we'll see what happens. I have the feeling he's going to be found competent and sane. So, we'll see what happens from there. Chris, we're not going to be talking about Kurt's murder. What are you talking about? The car did it. Yes, he was just a passenger when the car did it. Yes, like many of the things. I don't know if this is the same place, but Slender Man was in Wisconsin. I'm pretty sure. Wisconsin Man problems, Wisconsin Man issues. Yeah. No, because they're gonna, Kathy. There have to be pleas, and if you're entering a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity, there's generally an issue of you have to make that as an attorney, and then you can address the issue of competency. Okay? Because even if your person's incompetent initially, like if you show up into a courthouse and I get hired to represent you and I can't even talk to you, there's a presumption a plea of not guilty is entered on your behalf, because at some point you do have to enter a plea. And then if, the second time we come back to court, I'll say, look, Judge, Kathy has no idea what's going on. I still want the not guilty plea, but I want her evaluated for competency and sanity. So, yeah, Derek Chauvin couldn't get a change of venue. Yeah, 1-6 couldn't get a change of venue. No, yeah, and it's true. And I don't disagree with Robert Barnes. It's goddamn near impossible to get a change of venue. Should never count on it. No, Wisconsin is not a death penalty state. They abolished the death penalty mid-1800s. But they did at some point. That's a question from Harris. You ask a lot of good questions, Harris. Sean, can you use a person's stature or weight, like in a case, like if he or she doesn't have the size or mass to do these things, or doesn't match he attributes it? Oh, yeah, all the time. Yes, this person does not match the description of the person you're looking for. Or, yes, they're claiming she drugged this guy across the dead body across the house. She weighs 98 pounds, and the guy she killed was 300 pounds. Does she look like she can do it? Or, the killer put this weapon, or the burglar put this weapon up on top of something. My client can't reach that. My client can't jump. Yes, you can make those arguments frequently. If you're arguing about identity, that's a common thing in certain cases. Certain trials, you will argue it's about mistaken identity. Yeah, yes, that's, yeah. Oh, Mimo, I'm not surprised. I'm not thrilled about that, but it's got to get through the House. I think there's things that have been changed and added. I do not like that. Well, I mean, especially on the eve of this. But I'm planning on probably doing a video about these, issues about the red flag laws, which is the biggest part of the legislation going through. I have a lot of concerns about that, and it's the due process issues, one, but also just the liberty interest involved. Like, how many times can you be subjected to these? What happens when it turns out that person's lying and screwing with you? What protections do you have? You really don't have any. But I'll be addressing this. But yeah, that's a bunch of fucking bullshit. And whoever voted for that, fuck you. Fuck you. Bottom line, don't try to kill anyone in Wisconsin. Yeah, they don't have good luck in Wisconsin. Oh my gosh, this is like, you guys are like blowing me up here. Trying to catch up. Oh, Shaw, you're here. Hey, man, what you doing? Hope you're doing well. Weren't they the first state to abolish it? No. Michigan, by the time Michigan became a state in the 1830s, Michigan has never had the death penalty. The only time Michigan has ever had the death penalty was when it was a federal territory. Once it became a state, they abolished the death penalty. They've never had it. I'm pretty sure the only state that's been that way. So I'd argue technically they're the first state to abolish it. But I think Michigan became a state in like the 1830s or something. So let's see here. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to catch up with some of you guys wrote out. Sorry. I know they did a big questionnaire to gather data for the venue, so that's once. Yeah, the prosecution, they actually went ahead and did the work. Okay, yeah, then I guess they were technically the first state, but I mean, Michigan never had it, so you can't really abolish something you've never had. Yep, hello, Shaw. Yeah, glad to see you hanging around. Didn't see you earlier, so hope you're doing well. Hope your kid is doing well. I know she graduated, so congratulations on that again. Let's see here. I hate this. Yes, red flag laws during a time when swatting is rampant. Yes, that just compounds the issue. Okay, yes, Michigan. Okay, Michigan has it for treason, but I don't think they ever did anybody for treason. So, man, I'm behind an hour, but I want to be live. Oh, your gun's gonna start a YouTube channel and do Second Amendment audits. That would be funny. It's probably a good way to get arrested. um, Sonia Gurad, are these movie timelines behind me? If so, which movies? Yes. All right. Oh crap. Hold on. Okay. Yes, that's me. All right. Okay. This one here. This is Hunt for Red October. This one is Heat with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. They are from a website called From, and I feel like I've shilled for them enough. I should probably get something out of this for these guys, but I guess I'll do it for free because I still like them. But this is the website From. They do all kinds of videos and movies. I mean, they have 1,309 movies. So there's probably a movie you like on here or a TV show you like on here episode wise. I mean, the Star Wars movies, Lord of the Rings, Jurassic Park, insert whatever. It's funny. I wonder if they ever do any black and white movies and it's just like a bunch of, looks like a big barcode. So, but yeah, that's where they are. I think they're good. If you know people, who I like certain movies, it's a pretty cool gift, and it's not like super expensive either. Newsom took the death penalty away from California a couple of years ago. Yeah, but I think that also turned into an issue of the governors also commuting sentences of people on death row. So after a while, nobody's actually on death row anymore. Everybody just ended up with life sentences. Um, well, this bill isn't necessarily meant to set up the red flag laws. It's about putting the money together to encourage states to set up their red flag laws and go forward with it. Kind of like highway funding meant to get every state to pass a law banning drinking until the age of 21. So Congress isn't, they're just trying to figure out a way to entice that to happen. What did I miss? My dog just closed out everything on my screen. Not a ton. Not a ton. I mean, kind of the same old boring stuff. Oh, yes. I boomer muted 8 times. Yes, 8 times. Heat was an awesome movie. Val Kilmer still had a throat. Yeah, that's a sad part. Val Kilmer's had a kind of a rough go lately. Really sucks for him. But yeah, hope he gets a little bit better out of it. Can you use the victim's knowledge like assailant used a martial art in the assault? My client does not know one. Are you arguing or making the argument that my client knew the other guy was a black belt in karate, was in fear of his life? That could be an issue. You could bring that up. In a self-defense case, it's all about the immediacy, the danger, and then is it going to happen? And part of that's a disparity of force. One guy versus 5. Okay, well, that one guy's got a lot to be scared of. You versus Mike Tyson. You've got a lot to be scared of. There's a disparity in size, in strength, but also in skill. He's a professional fighter. You're not. So, yes, that can be an issue at times. I've never had that personally, but that's always something you can make as an argument. Did your dog step on a bee? That is a good question. Hope your dog did not step on a bee. Um, okay. Well, I guess we'll move on to one that actually I think surprised everybody. Well, I don't know if it surprised everybody, but surprised the crap out of me. Danielle Redlick. I know we talked about her last week. She had taken the stand, and I recommended you guys watch her testimony and cross. Didn't really convince me of anything. I thought she was going to be taking the long trip to a life sentence. Was found not guilty of murdering her stepdad, brother, cousin, uncle, husband. And yeah, she was acquitted. I was really surprised by that, but hey, good for her. Hey, it's not a bad deal. It is weird though. She was convicted of tampering with evidence, and she's been sitting in jail for years now, and there was still an argument she shouldn't have been released. And I mean, she's already served like 3 years in prison, and in Ohio, that's the maximum amount of time you can serve on a tampering with evidence charge. So in Ohio, she would be released with time served. But for some reason in Florida, they didn't let her out, which I thought was kind of sketchy. But hey, she's gonna get to go home. She's not going away forever. So I guess you'll take another month or two sitting in jail. Yeah, there are parameters, but it's the parameters I'm concerned about are what your state specifically sets up in addition. Um, yes, it was her stepdad initially and then became her husband. That's no joke. That really happened. Her mom had cancer, was dying, and then she married her dad, her stepdad. That's some real Florida stuff. So, hey, makes sense. Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, I think you missed me by about a day because when Critter got a hold of me, I had already left to go up north towards Passaic for a wedding. So, yeah, just missed you. But hey, might be out that way again in the near future. So, never know. It's not that I had some issues the way she explained things, and it wasn't necessarily credibility, but just her story wasn't making sense to me. So, like I said, we'll see. Um, um, yeah, she did have to bond out, but the judge should have just said, you are released on recognizance, because making a person post bond after they've already been in jail for this long for an offense they probably already ran the sentence out on, making them post a bond, I think, is insult to injury. I thought that was nonsense. Yeah, I don't think she should have had to post the bond. I think she should have been released right then and there. I think they could have done a sentencing right then and there. Yeah, like I said, I just think she should have been done right then. You guys talking about her feet? Yeah, we're not looking at her feet, okay? We are not looking at her feet. Yes, Woody Allen did yes. Yeah, we're not, yes, okay. Okay, yeah, we're gonna leave the Woody Allen thing alone. Nancy Pelosi's my stepdaughter. Wink. Ah, jeez. Yeah, Justin Smith. Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I could never see myself hooking up with my stepmom, but that's, yeah. Not just you. Not just you at all. Um, so, yeah, so that's Danielle Redlick. I guess one more I wanted to talk about. Well, actually, I mean, I guess we can cover it a little bit now. Um, and this is just, like I said, this is not going to be me getting into the specifics or political issues about it, but it is what happened with the New York State versus Brewing case. Like I said, do not think this automatically means you can show up in New York or New York City and go wave around a pistol and you're good to go. That is not what happened here. In fact, this was really just an issue about the cause necessary to get a carry permit. As I stated, you'd fill out all the information on the last page. You had to fill out like an essay and write to them about why you felt you had the right to get a carry permit, an unrestricted permit. And the way things are in New York, it's very weird. Technically, under their laws, you're not allowed to touch a pistol. So, like, if you go to a gun store, you go to, like, you know, I'm not allowed to go pick one up to look at one unless I have a permit that allows me to touch that one. New York's laws are very weird about that. It goes back to the Sullivan Act, which goes back nearly 100 years. I would just state, you know, they passed that law at the time because they were worried about people of color and also other minority groups and ethnic groups, you know, like the Irish and the Italians, getting a hold of guns and causing problems and gang violence. So it causes a really weird setup where you get, you know, you have to go to the court and ask the court for permission to buy a pistol, and then the court gives you that permission and puts it on your permit that you're allowed to have this gun, so then you can go buy that gun. It's a weird setup that I don't fully understand, and I'm glad I don't have to understand it or have needed to understand it at some point. But yes, so this is the slip opinion from the Supreme Court. It's the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association Incorporated versus Bruin, who is the superintendent of New York State Police, who are in charge of issuing out permits. So this covers the basic issue here, the beginning of it. There were two guys, Brandon Koch and Robert Nash, who are law-abiding New York residents who wanted unrestricted license to carry. They, like I said, when you had that last page, they refused to fill it out, so they were automatically denied. And because of that, they sued. What happened is, and this is where you get to the next page, is the holding. And just so you guys understand, New York's proper cause requirement, so that essay you have to write, violates the 14th Amendment by preventing law-abiding citizens with ordinary self-defense from exercising their Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms in public for self-defense. Okay? So, and why the 14th Amendment? Because the 14th Amendment incorporates your rights to the states. So, just like all your other rights, technically, your First Amendment right doesn't work in your state until the 14th Amendment incorporates that right to the states. But the court goes through two cases that it used, District of Columbia versus Heller, which in 2008 kind of laid the groundwork for things. And then McDonald v. Chicago, which then brought in the 14th Amendment to incorporate it fully. I know people are going to say, oh, wow, well, that's, you know, these cases got invented out of nowhere. Yes, every other amendment in the Bill of Rights had been incorporated onto the states, you know, decades, if not a century before. This is the last one, so it's not like it's that new of a thing. What I would say and what I'll end with, just because I know people are probably more concerned about this here, the court, and specifically Thomas, points out that there is not a two-step approach anymore where the ends and the means are the scrutiny test. And there's different levels of scrutiny. There's rational basis, intermediate scrutiny, and then there's strict scrutiny. Those are the three general types. There's variations on those. What they say, though, is Heller's methodology, which is the case that really gets everything kicked off, centered on the text of the Constitution and history. It didn't invoke any test like strict scrutiny or intermediate scrutiny, which is interesting because it's now saying intermediate scrutiny doesn't count, and strict scrutiny, which the government has to show a compelling governmental interest in proposing this law, that technically doesn't count either. That this is going to be solely based on the history of the United States and the Constitution's text itself, which, as much as I like that, almost puts you in a unique situation where this is the only one where we've got this special analysis mode. But I think it's something to argue. The Second Amendment has not had the fairest shake when it's come in front of courts. It's considered the redheaded stepchild of many of the Bill of Rights. So yes, they reject a lot of different balancing tests and scrutiny tests and focus mainly on text and history. So do I see this being used in a lot of cases going forward? Yeah, probably will attack assault weapons bans and mag ban cases, but they're going to have to appeal their way up through the courts and probably come back to the Supreme Court. So I just wanted to kind of give you guys a crash course on that. So, just so people had an issue there. So, it will be interesting to see what happens from there. But like I said, guys, I'm not offering this up to be political with it. I just do think it is helpful to understand what they ruled, why they ruled. And I will point out, I agree, this is kind of a weird way to look at it. They're saying like none of the basis tests apply. Well, if strict scrutiny, which is the highest kind, doesn't apply, and we're going to introduce like this new test of, textual and historical analysis, I mean, now we got to, if you know, like strict scrutiny, I understand how you can apply that. Rational basis, I understand how you can apply that. This textual and historical approach, I don't know for sure how we apply it because we haven't had examples of it. We have like this one case, but that's hard. That's a data point of one, so it's going to be really hard. This is far from the end. This is far from the end. You will hear about Bruin more and more, and it is not going away anytime soon. There's also a due process question with May issue. I think that's an argument to be made, but courts have routinely that's been shot down on a lot of different courts. But yes, this will basically turn a lot of may issue into shall issue. It will eliminate the requirement that you have to write out an essay or a justification for the right. As long as you qualify, you should be granted it, and granted the permission. And I think that's fair. You shouldn't have to sit there and write it out and hope that person agrees with you. If it's the only right that's this way, that should tell you a lot that that's not how it should be done. This is Trinity Hale chatting from the 90s. Oof, that's offensive. Let's see here. Let's see. Thing your Nazi stepson. Are you? Yeah, I'm gonna be on tonight with Nick to talk about this and do a little more tonight. So New York will tweak their law just a little bit and be right back in the court. And exactly. And I think I mentioned this earlier. It's going to be like the civil rights cases. It took decades for that to be done because the Supreme Court can only fix a little bit at a time. They don't drastically alter. So it comes back and it comes back and it comes back. And, the law in the world we see now in regards to civil rights, it took forever to get that way. But just like environmental regulations or other types of, bodies of law we have today, it took a lot of cases to get to where we are. We're at the very beginning of this road. So repeal the NFA is next year, right? From your lips to God's ears. I will stay as long as Nick will have me. So, yeah, hey guys, like I said before, let's be chill amongst each other. Like I said, that I've made that clear before. If you guys want to argue with stuff or pick a fight, I'm always available. So let's all try to get along. Try not to, you know, cause problems. Let's try to be civil with each other. Do I have a funny hat to put on? No, I don't really have funny hats. I think I should be on everyone's channel. I appreciate that, but that's a lot of things to be on. So, anyways, guys, let's sounds like we're having some. The weirdest case I've worked. I think I mentioned it before, but it was when I worked with a guy who liked women's toes, and I've said before, if we get to 15,000, we will do a special edition live stream just about that. And once we get close to that, I'm gonna have to talk to my old employee in the public defender's office, probably the state Supreme Court, to make sure I don't run afoul of any ethical issues. But yeah, I'd love to share that with the world. So when we get to 15K, guys, we'll talk about the toe sucker. So the last one, and I know I'd mentioned this before a couple of times, this happened out in my neck of the woods. It actually occurred where I went to. It actually occurred where I went to college at Bowling Green State University over in Bowling Green, Ohio. They had a fraternity, and they were having one of their pledging events, and one of the pledges in the fraternity consumed a ton of alcohol, passed out, and died from alcohol poisoning. So there was a big investigation. A lot of people were charged with a lot of crimes, including hazing, supplying alcohol to minors. But then a ton of people got charged with tampering with evidence and other various felony offenses. A bunch of people were initially charged with the involuntary manslaughter of this guy. And in Ohio, if you commit a crime and that crime leads to someone's death, that can lead to an involuntary manslaughter charge. Not necessarily felony murder, but that's a separate issue. So everybody had pled out except for two guys. The last two guys went to trial a couple weeks ago. What day did they actually go? Yeah, they went to trial at the end of May. Took till the beginning of June for it to be done, and they were acquitted of the manslaughter charges. I know people who were in the area and had attended court. Basically, the argument was nobody forced the kid to drink. Now, it's an interesting thing there because there is some issue of, if you said you didn't want to, could you still be involved in the fraternity stuff? I don't know. I do think it's interesting that they didn't get convicted of forcing him to drink, but they were convicted of the hazing offenses, which implies they were pressuring people to do stuff, but somehow they didn't pressure this kid to drink enough to where he died. I thought that was an interesting verdict in that regard. But, juries come up with weird stuff all the time. So, I wanted to try to cover this, but it was done on, there was no TV footage of it, so it would have been really hard. And merely just reciting to you guys from what happened in news reports wasn't really going to do anything. But I am curious to know what you guys think about something like that, because there's a new one that just happened in Missouri where the kid died, and I think that's actually getting a lot of traction nationally. Might talk about it next week. Let's get you to 50K. Sure. Toe wave. Toes. If they were pouring the booze down his throat, then fair enough. For the drinking himself, then he is an idiot. Well, but then again, though, I think, is it alone there? I think there were some other issues. I think that may have, not gone in the state's favor. This guy wasn't a freshman. He was a sophomore. So I wonder if the jury had some idea that, maybe he, knew how to handle his liquor and should have known a little bit himself. I don't know if I've ever metaphorically done that. I feel like there's times where I've done that myself. Yeah, this new kid out of Missouri, he was blindfolded and pressured into drinking, then left alone. Yeah, he's blind, he's unable to communicate, and he's paralyzed now. So, yeah, that one's a pretty bad one. I mean, obviously, he's not dead, but if you're in a vegetative state and you can't talk or communicate, I mean, I don't know how much more, are you really present? Why is Ohio had a lot of, it just goes in bits and spurts, but I mean, think about Wisconsin. They had Kyle Rittenhouse, they had Chandler Halderson. Now they got the guy doing the Waukesha guy. They have Taylor Shut Business, where she cut up the dude and put him in the crock pot. I mean, it's all over the place. It's just you really have to look around, and sometimes all the crazy hits in one spot. So, yeah, I think that would help a lot, but it's parents, also, you don't want, sometimes people tell their kids don't drink and be crazy. But yeah, Critter, you're right. I mean, they're all terrible. But yeah, that would be really bad. Trapped in his body, but if he suffers from brain damage, is he even sentient and conscious? Who knows? I don't know why we like to, because we get bored in the wintertime. So there's a race car driver out of Finland. His name's Kimi Räikkönen. He says people asked him about what he does in Finland in the winter, and he says in Finland there's two things to do in the winter, fishing and fucking, and in the winter the fishing's really bad. So, yes, Jeffrey Dahmer was involved in Wisconsin. Yeah, Edgecombe, and I feel bad because I covered Edgecombe. He was out of Wisconsin as well. Kids and adults do things in groups, and it just takes a little alcohol to get them to do even more. Yeah, no, exactly. And it doesn't take much. So, and these guys, at the end of the day, they were sentenced. A lot of the other guys have been sentenced, and, a lot of them received about a month in jail and a bunch of probation. So these guys, they've got a bunch of misdemeanor counts of hazing and providing alcohol to minors. So at the end of the day, they get to walk away. That's the win. They didn't get the felony charges. Yeah, but I understand. I think we all understand what Luke meant when he was talking about Edgecombe. He was just throwing it out there. Yes, Ed Gein was also from Wisconsin. See, I don't know about that, but I've also there are conspiracy theories about John Walsh that he may have been involved in some illegal narcotics trafficking, and his kid got murdered as part of that. Not saying that's true, but that's another conspiracy theory I've heard. I've not heard this one about Dahmer and killing Adam Walsh, but I'll have to look into that. LOL. I'm glad you're laughing. I'm not sure what about. So, um, Redlick's murder, not self-defense or stand your ground. Yeah, I agree, but hey, the jury disagreed. That's ultimately what matters at the end of the day. And you know what? Maybe she'll have to answer for that at the end. Who knows? Yeah, Edgecombe's expert, was a grifter, but all experts are grifters. They're not doing it because they are noble people. They're doing it because they can make some of that payola. So, oh, okay. Walsh's kid got murdered near my area. Um, well, stand your ground has nothing to do with being in the home. Stand your ground may have been applied if she had that would not have been necessarily an issue about the home. It's, whether or not you were righteous in using the force. So, But yes, if you're thinking about the duty of retreat, yeah, it's kind of hard to have a duty to retreat in a home you share with other people because you don't have a duty to retreat in your home. But how does that all shake out? So yeah, there's layers to that onion. Yes, can you repeat that? I was in fear of my life. So, all right, guys. Well, hey, I got to get some stuff done tonight. Like I said, I, should be on later. Um, and what am I looking for right now? I'm like an idiot. I'm screwing up. So, yeah, I will be on with Ricada later tonight, and we'll have some fun. And yeah, if you guys want to tune in there, I mean, we'll talk about a little more there. I think a little more how I feel about things personally. Um, Nothing brought me more joy than the bicycle expert. Yeah, yes, that was his best day ever. On a wall. Thank you. See you later. If I run across the flat Earth and arrive at the ice wall, then can I shoot the dude? Yeah. All right, you guys. Yeah. I agree. Like I said, I still think Danielle Redlick. I'm surprised that she got acquitted. So, congratulations to her. Yeah, Matthew, get back to bed. Enjoy your night, and thank you for everybody hanging around tonight. Thank you for everybody who donated. Stickers, super chats. I appreciate it. And the guys, take care. And I will say until next time, just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty.